All right, enough Copa del Rey. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, guys.
Jota scores the only goal as Liverpool down Everton 1-0 in the Merseyside derby, but your pal David Moyes is unhappy, Jules.
Yeah, he's unhappy with the goal. I can understand his frustration, to be fair, because the ball is played towards Luis Diaz, who is clearly offside, and I know Luis Diaz doesn't try to play the ball, but Tarkowski doesn't try to clear the ball the way he does if Luis Diaz is not there, and if Luis Diaz is not... if the ball is not aiming at Luis Diaz. So it's a bit of a grey area. We had that a few years ago in the Nations League where Mbappe scored against Spain in a very similar way where the defender tried to play for the ball because Mbappe is there, but Mbappe is offside, but he still tried to go for it. So I don't know. I understand the rule. So the referee went by the rule, and that's fine. I can also understand why Everton are really not happy because it's if Luis Diaz is not there, they don't concede that goal, and the ball is for him. So
I think the laws of the game are exceptionally clear here, and that this is the whole point with people in an offside position. As a defender, you're supposed to know where the guy is. He's like a yard behind you. He's obviously offside. And also maybe when you go and try to clear the ball, just do it competently and don't, go in this uncoordinated lumbering mess.
Yeah,
a bit like his tackle early in the game when he should have been sent off
every day. Yeah, Liverpool's magic number is now 13. Any combination of 13 points gained by Liverpool or lost by Arsenal with 8 games to go now in the league would guarantee them the title. When do you think it will happen?
So, looking at their upcoming fixtures, this stage of the season, you want to play teams that are quote unquote on the beach with nothing to play for, or already relegated, or have bigger fish to fry. I'm looking at Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leicester away. Those are their next 3 games.
Yeah,
I see no reason why they couldn't get all 9. Maybe Fulham they drop a point, but equally Arsenal have those 2 huge Real Madrid games, and they have Brentford, who's a colossal pain in the backside, sandwiched in between. Nothing. I'd say this in a good way, Brentford fans, by the way. You're a pain to play against. I think especially for a team like Arsenal. So my guess is it's going to happen anyway. I hope it happens at home at Anfield against Tottenham Hotspur. Last time they won the title, of course, there were no fans. And it would be quite the celebration. Otherwise, it'll be away at Chelsea on May 4th. Slightly more muted.
Manchester City beat Leicester 2-0 as Jack Grealish scores his first league start of 2025. But Gab, we know now that Erling Haaland is likely to miss the whole rest of the season.
Yeah, and frankly, that's, I think, the much bigger story here because Leicester are really, really terrible.
Terrible. I think Van Nistelrooy is the worst manager in Premier League history. It has to be, Gab. It has to be.
Premier League history? The guy who was at Crystal Palace? Frank de Boer?
But Frank had 7 games, 7 defeats. I think Van Nistelrooy now has won 1 and has like 11 defeats in something like in the last 12. It's ridiculous. How bad?
For me, obviously, I was curious to see how Marmoush would play. It was funny because it's like, it was watching some of the highlights on English TV. It's like, oh, look, Marmoush runs around and he brings energy. As if Erling Haaland doesn't, but obviously Erling Haaland's much different. Marmoush's movement is very different. I think if you go Savinho, Marmoush, Doku, you have a high energy team that's going to be more intense. So I think they'll be fine the rest of the season. They lose a little bit, I think, in quality. But hey, Bernardo Silva, slowest top speed in the Premier League officially. So hey, trade off. Anthony Elanga scores a doozy as Manchester United record their 13th league defeat of the season at Nottingham Forest. So they have Man City next. I guess it's not surprising that the team in 13th place should lose to the team in 3rd place, Jules.
No, you're right. And to be fair, I thought at times United moved the ball well. We're okay with the ball. It's just that you thought they were ready for the counter-attacking strength that Forest have, and yet what did they do? 5 minutes in or 10 minutes in, whatever. Anthony Elanga scores after running on his own for 85 meters in 9 seconds to score this goal that, as a manager, you must absolutely hate conceding, obviously. After that, I think their best player going forward was Harry Maguire, who came on with 5 minutes to go, and I had a higher XG than Højlund and Zirkzee put together when they played for the rest of the game. So I don't know what to say. I think structurally it was a bit better from United, really, and we've seen an improvement recently, not just in this game. But again, it was not good enough.
Not good enough, although I think, I agree with you. United, I thought, played they played okay. There is progress there.
Yeah.
Good news and bad news for Arsenal. Their 2-1 win over Fulham. Bukayo Saka back and scoring off the bench. But Gabriele is now hurt at the back, which, according to early reports, and we won't know until the club releases a statement, which probably won't be until his press conference the day before the game. It looks like there's a whole lot of Kivior coming up.
Yeah, not good from Gabriele after just 15 minutes holding his hamstring. I think we all know what that is really, and you see his face. Not there, Calafiori's injured too. So,
Timber's just back.
And sorry,
Timber just came back.
Yeah, and got injured too in that game. Had to come off before the end. I think Timber is less serious maybe than Gabriele, but for Gabriele it's terrible news, especially a week before the Real Madrid game. So yeah, got news. The good news is that Bukayo Saka obviously came back, scored 7 minutes after coming on. He will have a bit more game time at the weekend on Saturday at Everton, and then they're hoping can start against Real Madrid on Tuesday. So some good and some not so good for Arsenal on Tuesday night. Sandro Tonali scores with his 70% cross. I think it's even more than that. And Newcastle beat Brentford 2-1 to stay in the Champions League race. But Gab, were Brentford a bit unlucky?
They were hugely unlucky. First off, on the goal, he said it was 70% cross, 30% shot. He somehow, it's like if you're a baseball fan, it was like a knuckleball, which he hit, but he hit it hard. I think the keeper should have done better. All sorts of explanations about blah, blah, blah. But yeah, he's trying to cross it, mishits it, goes into the net. Great goal. Yeah, Brentford hugely unlucky. Bruno Guimaraes on Damsgaard. I watched the highlights. I'll let you choose which was more of a 1,000% nailed on penalty. For me, they both were. You could maybe make a case. Thomas Franks at the second one. But he got to the ball first. On the first one, Bruno goes up to Damsgaard. He's got his back for him. Damsgaard's in the area. He puts both hands on his back and pushes him.
Yeah.
The fact that Damsgaard goes down easy, doesn't make a difference. There is no context in football where you are allowed to put both hands on somebody's back and push him over. Aston Villa trounced Brighton 3-0 in one of those Champions League race 6-pointers. Unai Emery's low knees do it again.
Yeah, I mean, first Marcus Rashford, who scores a bit of a weird goal, I thought, because it's a corner for Brighton that Emi Martinez catches easily. And then I think Rashford makes his run to think that Martinez is going to kick it long to him. Doesn't see that the ball goes to Rodgers. Rodgers kick it long when I think Rashford thinks that he's run for nothing because it's over. But then the ball falls to him nicely. Then he gets a bit lucky in his finishing too. But hey, they all count. On great form, Rashford, 3 goals in his last 2 games. Obviously, if you count the FA Cup. And then Malen scores. And then Asensio, both off the bench, also score. In a game where Brighton had the chances. And to be fair, 3-0 doesn't really reflect the way the game went. But it's a really good win for Villa. We then face Forest on Saturday now.
Yeah, Malen's goal deep in injury time. But and you could say 2-0 could have still been in the balance. But Brighton looks so uneven. And defensively, like pretty horrific. You can't
I don't know what
concede off a
doesn't
concert.
start. Yeah. Chelsea host Spurs on Thursday night. So tonight, as we record the show, and Gab, they recorded a profit of nearly £200 million in their account earlier this week. That comes with an asterisk, though.
Yeah, it does, because they got 150 million for the women's team, which they sold to themselves. Now, or effectively sold to Blueco, which is the company that owns Chelsea. Now, this is the same stuff that they did with the hotels last year. The Premier League, according to reporting in the Times, has yet to approve this. UEFA have said, and they will be evaluated because they're back in Europe in the Conference League. UEFA said they're going to approve neither the hotel deal nor this deal. I know when we talk about valuations, different people use different formulas, revenue to earnings multiples, and the brand and all this nonsense. The reality is this is a perpetually loss-making endeavor, as it is now. This is so out of whack with any other European team. And before somebody comes out and says, Angel City, Bob Iger, $250 million. Bob Iger, who ultimately is our boss, of course, the big boss of Disney. Yeah, that's a different sport in a different economy. It's not the same sport, I guess, but different economy, closed system, different valuations. It's a completely different animal, and it should not be used in any way to decide what the value is of Chelsea. Now, they'll no doubt get a bunch of other assessors who will bring up Angel City, and they'll try to convince the Premier League that this is fair market value. I think the highest price paid for a women's club thus far to actually a real outside investor was when Michel Kang bought Lyon.
Yeah.
And I think that was 67 million, something like that.
Yeah, a bit less even, I think. Yeah.
Or maybe even less. And by the way, we say outside investors. Michelle Kang is also an investor in Eagle with our pal
Yeah.
John Texter. So it's not really totally arm's length either.
No.
So I don't know.
And Lyon, you can argue, is a bigger women's club than Chelsea women is.
I think Lyon have won the Women's Champions League more times than anybody else.
Yeah.
And again, you can argue England, whatever, bigger in some ways than France in women's football. But is it really? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
150 is a lot of money.
Yeah, and you're selling it to yourself.
Yeah,
so also the accounts also revealed that they paid £10 million in compensation to Leicester City for Enzo Maresca, which I was really surprised when they gave Maresca that, like, and I'm a Maresca guy, as you know, but I was really surprised when they gave him the really long contract. I thought it was completely unnecessary. I don't think he's paid anywhere near as much as Pochettino was. But to pay compensation for Maresca, who at that stage had coached one full season
At Leicester,
at Leicester and a couple months at Parma. Like I said, you must really, really like the guy.
Yeah.
Premier League semi-automated VAR system debuts on April 12th after many, many, many delays. Jules, are you excited the Premier League is coming to circa 2024?
Yeah. I mean, for such a small league as the Premier League, it's okay that to wait so long to get semi-automatic offside, which was supposed to be ready in October or maybe in November, or maybe in December, maybe then it was January or February or March, April. Hey, finally it will be April, so we will have a month of it, and I guarantee you probably that in that month we will hardly see any incidents where you need the semi-automatic offside. But I think it's better to have it than not.
No question. It's got a much cooler name, but of course, but part of the reason is they couldn't just use the same one that UEFA used. They had to put out bids and get a different technology, which I think is actually good. Maybe this technology will be better than UEFA's. Maybe this will become the gold standard. It certainly has a much cooler name. It's called Dragon.
Yeah, Dragon.
And it uses force fields and
Whatever
wizards and elves. But if you remember, there was, I forget what the FA Cup or League Cup, whatever nonsense cup it was, there was an 8-minute delay to establish an offside earlier this year when it was tested in that game. And that was because the system doesn't do very well when there's a lot of bodies in the way.
Yeah.
But that was their explanation.
Yeah, I think we could have fun with this.
Hopefully they've sorted that out.
Manchester City's club accounts revealed just how much they spent on lawyers this season. I'm sure you enjoy seeing this number, Gab.
£30,596,000 on this vermin, these leeches. I think everybody can agree that the number spent on lawyers should be close to zero. I don't think City fans are happy with this, and they might say, well, we had to do it to defend ourselves from the cartel and this and that. I think other people would say, oh, you do it because this is your only hope of saving your backsides? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Clearly, there's something wrong when lawyers have so much power in the game. And by the way, the amount of money the Premier League spent on lawyers, maybe it's not going to be as high, but it's not going to be far off this. And this is all mostly because of this case. And I think this just speaks to a broken system where you have to have trust in the system. You have adjudicatory processes that everybody trusts, so you don't have to go to these people, especially when you've got people at the same law firm on both sides. I don't know. To me, this is just grotesque. Bournemouth have reportedly named their price for fullback Milos Kerkez, and it's £45 million. This sounds like a bargain to me.
Yeah, I mean, bargain. I'm not sure if it's still a lot of money for a left back, but if you remember, for example, the likes of Walker, Malo Gusto, even Mendy before, it was around the £50 million mark for really good fullback. At the time. I mean, even the Julien Timber. Okay, it's not the same price because he came straight from the Netherlands, not through another English club. So you're paying that too. Buying from an English club is always more expensive than buying for a non-English club. Yeah. I think he's a wonderful talent. I think for me, he's been the best left back in the country with Anthony Robinson at Fulham, probably even better in terms of consistency all along.
And technical ability.
Yeah, and younger. Yeah. And everything. So Kerkez, whether it's United, well, I don't think he'll be United, but Liverpool or somebody else, I think it makes a lot of sense. And 45 million, you're right. You invest it and you're better for it.
I'm curious about where this comes from. This because the way everybody reported this is, this is what Bournemouth want for Milos Kerkez. I don't think this is. I think they would want more.
Yeah,
Right? Because
true.
if you say
Ideally,
I
as
want
much as
45
possible.
million, you negotiate, you get the player to agree a deal with you, and then you negotiate the price down.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in the same week that we're hearing City are spending 50 million or ready to spend 50 million on that guy Larson from Eintracht Frankfurt,
Yeah.
surely a guy who's already proven in the Premier League and who I think is a better player at a different position
Yeah, different
than
position,
Larson,
yeah.
who can contribute straight away, is going to be worth more than that. I think these valuations are all over the place, and I think it's going to be really curious to see what happens this summer with these numbers.
Arsenal are linked with Athletic Club de Bilbao's Nico Williams, with reports suggesting that the new sporting director, Andrea Berta, has already made contact with his representative. Is that what Mikel Arteta means when he said it's going to be a big summer for Arsenal?
I don't think so. I think he means something else, because we know Arsenal have already spent or are ready to spend a lot of money on Zubimendi.
Yeah.
Nico Williams, he has a release clause. I think it's around 60 million euros.
Yeah, 50,
now, it was made such a big deal. It was really funny to me when he resigned. He said, like, his people came out. People were like, "Oh, he's staying at the club he loves. He's Bilbao through and through." Yeah, but he made sure they put a release clause so he can GTFO. So if I'm his people, then this is exactly what I want to do. It's almost, I know that I can then negotiate an enormous wage. This is something where you can't look at this without the wage. There were already reports that the reason he didn't move to Barcelona last summer was because he was expecting, his agent basically went to Barcelona and said, "Look, you're only spending 60 million on him. He's worth 100 million. Let's look at his contract."
Yeah, make the difference up.
I think the kind of monies that were floated last season, I think for Arsenal, he would come in and he would be among the top 3 or 4 paid players. I don't think he's in a position where you can say, if I'm Arsenal, this guy belongs with Bukayo Saka, with Declan Rice, with, whoever, Saliba, whoever you want. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then that's on the financial side. On the playing side, is he better than Martinelli? Sure. And Martinelli has not had a great 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
But surely there's other areas that you would want to address, right? I don't think all of a sudden this becomes this massive priority for Arsenal. So I suspect this might have been a courtesy visit.
Yeah.
And I think if I'm Nico Williams' people, I want to get the word out. Hey, look, Arsenal are looking at me.
Yeah.
Might you be interested too?